Capitalism and socialism are economic systems. They are not inherently evil or inherently good, and yet in the United States we talk about them as though they are. And it's always struck me as kind of strange. Growing up, we've always discussed capitalism as being great. I even had a lesson on it in elementary school, how I think they were actually talking about communism and not socialism, which there is a bit of a difference, but we're not getting into that. How communism was so bad and capitalism was supposed to be so wonderful, which was kind of weird because, well, I know we're the United States and we're capitalists, so we want to think of that everything we do is great, but it's just an economic system. And depending on who's practicing that economic system can really affect how that economic system looks. For example, the rise of the socialist movement in liberal politics at the moment has decided that there are other countries out there that they've named as socialist countries that we should be emulating. Some of those countries actually consider themselves to be capitalist societies, capitalist countries. They consider their economic system to be capitalist, not socialist. But it looks different than how we practice it here. So really, it's a matter of who's practicing it. So any economic system can look great on paper, but it matters how you put it into practice. And I do think it's kind of strange that the proponents of capitalism seem to think that it's absolutely perfect and we don't need to do anything, even though that chart of the class system, there's the little one at the top for, wealthy people. And then there's the middle class, and then there's the lower class. It's been a fact since I was in elementary school that, and that was a long time ago, I've been out of high school for 15 years, that chart has migrated from the middle class being the largest to the bottom, the lower class being the largest, that it's migrated down to more of a snowman shape. I tend to think of it as the snowman chart. I think most people do because of that. And on the other side, the people who say, well, we should stop being a capitalist country, we should become socialist, I'm not really sure why they think that would work better, because obviously, well, it's obvious to me that if capitalism isn't working and needs to be fixed, if we can't fix capitalism, why do we think socialism is going to work out so much better? We're likely to wind up with the same sorts of flaws. Well, maybe not the same flaws, but we're going to wind up with flaws too. And so the entire thing has just always struck me as strange. And with this movement amongst the liberal end of the political spectrum to become more socialist, and then the pushback from the conservatives, or actually I'm not really sure who's pushing back against who, because I think the socialist movement on the liberal side of things is actually pushed back against the conservatives. It's just this big mess, and I wish people would realize the real issues here aren't going to be solved by either keeping our economic system or changing it. We need to make fundamental changes in how we practice things. The problem is, as it so often is, not just in politics, but in religion and in so many other issues, is the people, not necessarily the religion or the political framework. Not that there aren't oppressive systems, I'm so not saying that, but to say that a basic economic system of capitalism is oppressive. Our capitalistic system is, but capitalism itself, and you can easily wind up with an oppressive system in a socialist society too. So let's start talking about what the real problems are, as opposed to trying to make it these broad, larger systems that aren't inherently evil or inherently good. Let's discuss the real issues. Maybe we might actually fix some problems that way.